One of the things that I enjoy the most about Toastmasters is hearing people's stories through their speeches. My next guest, Nancy Depcik, has quite a few stories to tell, especially about her and Toastmasters. This is Toastmasters in Cars, Getting Breakfast. Miss Nancy Depcik.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You're like, this is an interview I'm kind of looking forward to because the fact that this is the first time I've had somebody who's competed in the World Champion of Public Speaking.
Oh, yes.
So I have like 20 million questions for
Yes,
you.
I have. Let me know. Fire away.
Fire away. Well, first of all, what club do you belong to?
I belong to Windy City Professional Speakers in Oak Brook.
Tell me something about that club because
Oh,
it's a special club, right?
It's a special club. It's amazing. You have to either be a professional speaker or aspire to be one to join, and we do auditions. And we're not the typical Toastmasters club where you do the table topics and the joke of the day and thought of the day, word of the day. We actually practice an upcoming speech. So for instance, I'm speaking tonight and I'm doing a portion of a speech that I'm actually giving on November 20th. And so I tell my audience, it's very nerve-wracking because they are other professional speakers that are judging you and critiquing you, but so worth it. So I will give a portion of that speech and I tell them who my audience is.
Oh, wow. So you give them the parameters of saying, okay, I'm going to be speaking to a bunch of, orthodontists.
Yes, exactly. Tonight they are going to be 80% men who are in their 60s, mostly with white hair, and in the boating industry. So anything dealing with boats, repairing them, selling them, anything to do with boats. And they take on that persona, and then when I give my presentation, they critique me with that persona in mind.
So roughly how long have you been at Toastmasters?
Oh gosh. I think it was about 2009.
Not the first club that you went to join. Which was your first club?
No. So my first club, you may be too young to remember this.
Oh, wow. I'm so young. I'm 3 years away from 50. Okay.
Oh, wow. Well, then 2008 recession.
Okay.
2008 recession really hit me hard. I was a real estate investor at that time in Florida. I lived in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
But all my properties were in Florida. So obviously I lost everything. So I lost my business, my relationship fizzled, lost my home. It was a spiral going downwards that I didn't know how to stop. And at the time, I got a job as a bridal manager at Bloomingdale's in Chicago. I can write a book about that one.
You can write a speech about it.
Write a speech about it. And I believe in the rule of three. If something comes back to you 3 times, you need to stop and look into it. You may not do it, but you at least need to take notice. So the 3rd time somebody mentioned the word Toastmasters to me, I went home and Googled it. I didn't know what it was.
Isn't that the weirdest thing?
Googled it. And what happened is, being in retail, I had to find one that worked with my schedule. And I found one in Lakeview. It might have been called Lakeview Toastmasters. I found one in Lakeview that met at 7 o'clock every other Monday. And that's why I chose that club.
Wow. Okay, so fast forward.
So
What did that do for you?
Well, I have to tell you, I'm really, Toastmasters transformed my life. My life was a hot mess at that time. And I walked into that Toastmasters meeting, and for an hour and a half, every other Monday, nobody judged me. There were no creditors calling me. There was nobody looking at me, and even me myself beating myself up for everything that went wrong. I suddenly entered this room and people knew my name and they wanted to talk to me and they wanted to hear what I had to say. It was like my Cheers, if you remember the sitcom Cheers.
Yeah.
You walk in and everybody, it was my respite. It was my time out. And the people I met there were amazing, amazing. One of the people I met was Prez Vasiliev, who won the 2013 World Championship. He was one of the people that I worked with there and that I shared that Toastmasters with. And one of the ladies, I was in Toastmasters about 3 months, and one of the ladies said, I signed you up for a contest. I didn't even know we were having a contest. And it was the table topics.
Oh, okay.
And so I went, and as you know in Toastmasters, when you win, you go to the next level, the next level. And through that, I met a gentleman who told me about Windy City.
Ah, okay.
And that's how Windy City entered my life.
Who wasn't Stan Piskorski?
No, no.
Because
No.
he does that. He told me.
He
told
does.
me he's the little secret of how he got people to join the club. Was he would scope the contest like, you should join Windy City.
Stan started Windy City something like 30 years ago.
Yeah,
so yes.
That's why.
But no, it was not Stan.
Oh wow. Okay, so first time I met you was 2016, and I was like blown away. And I think you've heard me say this quite a few times, that the way you know a speech is really, really good and could win quite a few things is if you remember the details of that story years after, months after. I mean, it's like the fact, because you see so many speech contests
You do.
about a speech, and if you remember the details, and I know you had it on your website, it says you're the roller coaster lady, but I was like, oh my gosh. And I was telling all my friends, like, yeah, she was talking about a story about her and her brother stuck her in, and you're not supposed to be that tall, and she was, and then in the middle of the speech, it's like, I had this aha moment. It's like, this has nothing to do with the roller coaster. This is about her relationship with her brother. That was so genius. And they were like, really? So that's how I was like, you craft probably the most amazing speeches.
Thank you.
I heard your speech, of course, and you heard me laugh during the contest where you talked about the online dating, how you ended up, of all places, you're not a Chicago kind of girl
I
anymore.
know. I now live in Madison, Wisconsin, and that's a topic of another one of my speeches. How I ended up from Chicago and Madison. But what happened with Toastmasters is you're talking about storytelling, and I learned that from Toastmasters. And at the time when my life was such a mess, my speeches were about what happens when life knocks you to your knees. Mine happened to be the 2008 recession, but it could be a health scare, it could be something to do with your child, it could be the loss of a job, it could be so many things. When life knocks you to your knees, how do you get back up again? And that's what I started telling the stories. Here's my brother who helped me. Here's a little old lady I volunteered for who helped me. Here's that article I read on the gratitude list that helped me. And I created stories around all of that and then started giving those as speeches. And one day I was walking through the park in Chicago and someone called me and said, I heard one of your speeches. What do you charge?
What?
And I went, whoa, now there's an idea. And so I waited for an income tax return, and I divided it in half, and I hired a speech coach, and I enrolled in Speaker U, which is through NSA, and that teaches you how to make it into a business. And that's how Unshakable Success was formed. And today, this is what I do. I'm a professional speaker.
Let's talk about Unshakable Success, because I tell you, when I it's like Google Miss Nancy Depcik, that's why I'm like, wow. So tell me about that, because a lot of people, not everybody plans when they're in Toastmasters to become a professional speaker.
I didn't either.
But it's like now your role is
Yes.
somebody who actually teaches people how to be.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
this is a transforming thing. What do you do? How do you set people up and people visit your website? It's like, oh look, I want to be a professional speaker. Nancy Depcik, she's close by. Is that how it works? I mean, how does?
I wish it was that easy. I wish. No, what happens is I love keynotes. I love giving keynotes. And so I belong, actually, this is really good for people who want to get into the speaking business. There's a website called Speakers Match, and it's like a dating site for speakers and people who are looking for speakers. So as a speaker, you have to pay, and then you put your profile up. And then speakers who are looking for speakers will post on that. Businesses who are looking for speakers post on that. And so then you can apply. You can send off an application. It's I've only gotten a couple of jobs from it because I'm sure they have thousands of people applying, but it's one source. And then the others is just just talking to people. I go to a lot of networking meetings, and I'm thinking about anyone who works for a business that will pay a speaker. I could get a lot of jobs speaking, but they would be for free. And this is not a hobby, this is a business. So I pick and choose the free speeches I want to give, but other than that, I'm looking for companies who can afford to pay speakers. One of my many professions in my background, I was in sales. I sold advertising and marketing programs. So it's a sales skill. You start calling up, you find out who the right contact is, you start a relationship with them, and it takes a while usually, but I meet a lot of people through networking meetings.
Wow. And with Toastmasters, that's like one of the largest networking groups around, because you talk to other people who are competing the contest and you find out what their background is.
Yes.
You find out about other districts that they might be looking for speakers, but most of them they pay for your trip to go somewhere. But you also, that leads into, it's like, oh, I saw Nancy speak at District 54. I was like, my company needs somebody who can speak.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's how it comes about with the whole networking.
The whole networking thing. And I have spoken to a lot of events at Toastmasters, at a lot of events in Toastmasters for free. But what I like there, it's my way to give back. That part I don't mind. It's my way to give back, because I wouldn't be where I am today. One, for my business, and two, for the confidence level I have now, if it wasn't for the support of Toastmasters. It was amazing. And I mentioned to you earlier, we all have opportunities open to us. We're just not always ready to see them. Toastmasters was a long time before. Toastmasters has been around for what?
95 years
95 years, 100 years. I wasn't exposed to it until I was 62 years old.
Man, you realize it's like, wow, where has it been?
So I was ready. I was ready at that time to find something in my life that meant something to me, that was of value to me, that brought me some feeling of fulfillment. And sincerely, I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for Toastmasters.
Well, trust me, we benefited more than anything else on that.
So Toastmasters brought me to the profession that I have now. And I wouldn't do anything else. People are always asking me when I'm going to retire. And I'd say, but if I retire, I'd be doing the same thing I'm doing now, because I love it so much.
You enjoy it.
I enjoy it. And when you have people lining up after one of your speeches saying, you really helped me, you've changed my life, I'm really going to do this moving forward. That's another thing that happened in Madison, is I now teach at Madison College.
Really?
I teach a
I didn't
couple
know
of
that.
high classes there, adult education classes, one on presentation skills and one on communication skills. So my keynotes for the companies are motivational. And they're not rah-rah, you can do it. They're very specific ways of how you can manage the challenges in your life, how you can deal with the stress in your life. Then workshops, anywhere from a half day to full day for companies on how do you give presentations? How do you capture your audience? How do you start with a bang? How do you stand out from your competition? And then I do one-on-one coaching for people who are getting into the business. And then I teach at Madison College.
Those are things that you love to do.
I love everyone. My first profession out of college was a teacher. I taught for 13 years. Full circle. I came back to teaching again.
Didn't expect that.
It's great. And some of my students have brought me into their companies.
Oh, wow.
For workshops.
That works.
It's great.
I can't thank you enough, because I was like, I gotta spend some time, and I'm so glad that you kind of responded. I was like, yeah, I'd love to do that. Like, okay, let's do it. And we visited the first place that I did my first Toastmasters getting breakfast. So, thank you so much.
And I want to thank you for all you do for Toastmasters. It's a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of dedication. And I want to thank you for all that you do.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, my dear. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, thank you so much for watching Toastmasters in Cars Getting Breakfast. As Toastmasters, we love evaluations, so make sure you make a comment below. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, get notified, and like the video. In the meantime, you can check out the rest of these videos. Until then, see ya.